Hello, welcome. Today we have a short but valuable video. Let's look at how we photographers cheat. Because this is cheating. If you ever took a photograph and you looked at the sky and you were like, man, I wish it was a bit more light outside, or I wish there were more clouds in the sky. Well, today it's really not that hard to cheat and make it look your way. Sometimes you grab your camera and you look at that landscape and you're like, okay, I got this. Ah, no, I don't have this. One more. Ah, no, I know what I need. There you go. I'm looking at the monitor. Anyway, so in the last couple of weeks, I've posted on my Instagram some photos that are basically the result of me playing with this sky replacement tool in Luminar AI. You can, of course, do this in Photoshop quite easily for a while now, but I just wanted to use Luminar AI because I haven't really used it before. And to be honest, in the last years, I realized that tools, softwares on your computer are basically up to you on how and when you want to use them. I don't think there's too many softwares out there that are better than others. I think there's a time and place on when you should use some of them. Maybe Photoshop is a bit scary to you, or I don't know, sometimes you're in a hurry. Maybe you gotta catch a bus or take a shower. I always knew I should be a comedian, you know. Even though we're playing in Luminar AI today, in case you didn't know, in Photoshop, you're gonna go up here in Edit and then hit Sky Replacement. But let's see how you do this in Luminar AI. So this is a photo I took a couple of years ago in Italy. And this is the edit of it I posted a couple of weeks ago on my Instagram. And at first sight you might say, this looks pretty cool. And actually that's the only reason I've made it like this, because it looks cool. But I will never give this to a client, and this is not accurate. If you look at the shadows, we have some pretty harsh shadows around the kid, around the rock themselves, and the sun should be coming from up here. We have basically a sunset sky over here, whereas the rest of the picture was made in broad daylight in the middle of the day with some harsh light coming from up here. Okay, so let's see how we do this in Luminar AI. And first I want to take care of my composition, because if I want to put this on Instagram, let's say, I want to put it in a vertical format. So I go down here under composition, I expand this menu, and I have myself a 4x5 format here, and I click this icon over here to actually have it in a vertical format. And then probably what I want to do, if I really want to replicate the other edit, is pretty much do it like this and click enter. And we cropped our image. The next step is go down here on the creative and expand the sky menu. And basically you can see that the software is already recommending 3 skies for your photo. Now keep in mind, these recommendations are not always accurate, so play with the options until you really get what you want. So we go under sky selection, and basically you'll see you have a lot of types of skies for different scenarios to play with. And since I don't want to make this a sunset anymore, I basically just want some clouds in the sky. And I think I'll just go for this over here. And within a second we have our sky replaced. And to be honest, I don't think anyone can tell that those clouds were not there when I took this picture. And if this is the only thing you want to do, that's it, you're done. Click export and go take a shower. But the software lets you play with a lot more options than this. You can play with the sky orientation, so maybe you don't really like how the clouds are positioned. You have a lot of flexibility on how to do this vertically or horizontally. Maybe you want this look over here. Maybe you want to flip it. No, I don't like that. You can also adjust the sky you've just selected. So basically maybe you want it a bit warmer. Maybe you want a bit more brightness in the sky. Another option I really like is the scene relightening. So basically, if you all of a sudden put a bit more light into the sky, you want all the other things to be affected by that light. In Photoshop, you may need to do a lot of masking to do that. So we go up here under scene relight. In my case, I'm gonna leave the value of relight strength all the way to 0 because it really fits the sky I've selected to go with. Reflection is another great tool. You can basically have a bit of reflection of the sky in the water. So what I want to do here is maybe go all the way to 100, and you can see, if you see here and here, we have some reflection of the clouds. If I go all the way to 0, those reflections disappear. So there you go. I'm not gonna leave it to 100 because I think it's a bit too much, but maybe somewhere around 70 or so, that works. So in the same way we put clouds that were not there, there's a lot of other things you can add to the sky that were not there to begin with. If we go under Augmented Sky, we can select a lot of things here that are basically not part of our sky. Well, this is basically not part of our sky. But hey, you can put a rainbow. Do you want a hot air balloon? Do you want some birds? Well, that's too many birds. You can put a giraffe if you want. What if we put a plane? What if there was an airport behind this beach? So I think this plane fits better. It's kind of like it was just about to land. And then we have a couple of options here. This is basically the opacity of the objects you've put, and then how warm you want that object to appear. So basically our sky is a little bit warm, and maybe we do want our plane to look as if it's reflecting some of that light from the sun. And this relight option, I think I'll just leave it around 30. Almost there, but we're not done yet. As you can see, we have a lot more options, but some of them are not relevant to the picture. So basically, if we had somewhere where we needed fog or some mist or haze, we would of course add some of that, but not the case here. What I do want to add is sun rays. First, we're going to place our sun center, and basically this is where the rays are going to be coming from. And in this case, we want the rays to be coming up from somewhere over here, so that it kind of fits the shadows that are forming here. And first we're going to be playing with the amount value, and this is very sensitive, so don't go too crazy on this, because if we go all the way like this is way too dreamy, way too unrealistic. So what we want to do is just a little bit of, maybe 25 is a bit too much. Let's say 15. I think that's good. You can see on and off how this looks. I think this gives it a little bit of dreamy but still realistic look. And then we can play with the overall look value, which is basically how much the sun rays are affecting the foreground. So I think I'm not going to be too crazy with this either. I think I'll leave it at 20. I just put sun rays length to 0 because I really want you to see how this affects the overall picture. Remember, we have the sun over here, and the more we increase the value, the more light comes from that angle. And I think somewhere around 80 is a bit too much. I think somewhere around 60 will do the trick. And the penetration value, I want to keep maybe around 40 or so. This software is pretty fun to use because you can even play with the rays settings, and under here you can play with the number of sun rays that come in your photo. So now we're on 50, but if I go maybe all the way up to 80, you can see the sun rays coming in the picture. And last but not least, I want to give a bit more warmth to the light. So if you expand this menu here, you have two more options to play with. And in my case, I think I'm going to go all the way to 100 with both of them, because I really like how it creates this yellowish light over here. Now, looking at the picture, I do think the plane is slightly too big to be realistic in this scenario. So what I want to do is go back to Augmented Sky and click Place Object and make the plane a little bit smaller. And maybe just put it back because I really liked when it was here. So what do you think? This is what we started with, and this is the final result. If you have $50 to spare, I highly recommend doing the one-time purchase and actually getting Luminar AI on your computer. I also have Photoshop on my computer, but as I said in the beginning, there's different tools for different time and needs. I really think Luminar AI is worth it. And if you enjoyed today's video, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao!